Hello everyone, I'd like to read you a couple of excerpts from an article that was published by Bloomsburg online today. Again, this is just a couple of excerpts. It says, electric cars, robo-taxis, and self-driving trucks are coming to change the society we live in, possibly sooner than you think. Limited tests of driverless cars are already happening today, and they'll be in use everywhere within 6 years, according to Carlos Ghosn, CEO of the Renault-Nissan Alliance. A change on that scale would reach far beyond the automotive industry to upend businesses, transform our daily lifestyles, and reshape cities. In a future where anyone is able to summon a cheap driverless pod at the click of a smartphone button, the line between public and private transport would start to blur. Ride-hailing services such as Uber and Lyft are already reducing demand for public transport across the U.S., according to a study from the University of California, Davis. People use ride-hailing apps instead of taking the train, driving, cycling, or even walking. Removing human drivers from the equation could make those services even more affordable and convenient compared with trains or buses following fixed routes. Dwindling passenger numbers could ultimately starve public transit of investment. Now, again, the article goes on longer, but these are just a couple of quick excerpts that I wanted to highlight in this video. So, a couple of key things. Now, call me what you want, call me an alarmist, say I'm crazy. You can kick against the goads all you want, but technology is not only here to stay, it's only going to continue to rapidly accelerate. So if you don't embrace this technology and start to transition and change your business models, you are going to go the way of the dinosaurs. Who's you? If you're a paratransit provider, you need to be seriously concerned. Seriously concerned. If you're a non-emergency medical transportation provider and you have an inadequate business model, then you need to be concerned. Now let me break that down a little bit further. Okay, I've talked about in previous videos that we're going driverless cars. Uber alone by the year 2025 plans to have all their US markets driverless. By the year 2030, worldwide Uber wants to be driverless. I think it was the CEO, I talked about this in a previous video, I think it was the CEO from Ford. By the year 2021 or 2022, one or the other, they're going to have, everything's going to be driverless for them. So they want to be competitive and they want to start getting into more of this paratransit and rideshare space. So they're going to be more competitive, which means all the big three are going to. Regardless, here's the deal. Technology is here to stay. Cars are going to be driverless, and it's going to affect your transportation business. So if you are heavily invested into a large workforce, a large asset-based business, you are going to either go the way of the dinosaur or you better transition now. Again, I always, if you've studied my material, if you work with me, I always talk about what's your exit strategy. Before you even build your business, get in business, you better start evaluating what's your exit strategy. Are you going to sell your business for an asset? Are you going to pass it on to an heir? Are you just going to dissolve it? What are you going to do? Well, again, let me put things in perspective. If you are one of these providers where you're so heavily invested into ambulatory work, in a short few years, you're not even going to have an asset you can sell. Should you do it right now and make some money in the short term? Absolutely. Make as much money as you can. But if you don't have a plan for transitioning your business model, you aren't even going to have an asset to sell. If you're a paratransit provider and you're doing a lot of this fixed route, or even if you don't necessarily do fixed route, but if you're a paratransit provider, you're going to go the way of the dinosaur. I could share with you so many stories and examples of where I've been working with municipalities, working with paratransit providers in shaping a lot of those paratransit routes for a lot of these municipalities, and some of them are working for larger contractors. So I've worked with a lot of paratransit providers who served as the subcontractor for a prime contractor. They are exceptionally concerned. They are exceptionally concerned. If you'll recall, a short few years ago, it wasn't long that a lot of these big cities, a lot of the metro, they're like all these politicians, they're outdated bureaucracies, they're outdated bureaucrats. They're still trying to implement business models and government models from 50 to 100 years ago, and they're still trying to apply them today. They are no longer applicable. So if you're trying to apply an outdated business model for your paratransit or NEMT business, you have a shelf life. You are going to go the way of the dinosaur. So you need to start transitioning your business. even if you are a paratransit right now and you do accommodate wheelchair accessible people, let's be realistic. Those people who are using paratransit, even if they're in a wheelchair, they're still independent. So they can get in cars that are, guess what, driverless. They can get in pods and other types of cars that don't have a driver, that are owned by the government, because even though they're in a wheelchair, they don't need assistance. Now, if you are an NEMT provider, you better invest heavily into wheelchair and stretcher transportation. That's where the money is. There's always going to be a demand for you. Why is that? Let's think about this. If you are a government agency, if you're a municipality, you are self-insured. So let's go back to paratransit. If you're in a wheelchair and you got in a driverless pod or a driverless car or driverless vehicle, whatever it was, and there is an accident, guess what? The municipality doesn't care. They're self-insured. It's the government. Let's transition that to NEMT. If you are a hospital, guess what? If you're a hospital, you're concerned about that insurance. If you are a legitimate nursing home, you're concerned about that. If you're one of these big HMOs or managed care organizations, guess what? You're concerned about that. So you need to make sure that you're not going to have a rideshare provider just randomly walking your halls. You need to make sure that you have legitimate NEMT providers who are properly trained and skilled in helping, assisting, and transporting wheelchair and stretcher bound patients. So big difference of a paratransit provider who can transport and accommodate wheelchair, and NEMT providers who actually go into nursing homes and hospitals and different facilities to actually help assist the patient to perform the transportation. Big difference. Now, first and foremost, if you're one of these people that want to send me hate mail because your business model is all invested in ambulatory, and when I say that you are not a medical transportation provider and you want to send us hate mail because I'm insensitive, call me what you want. If you are not heavily invested in the wheelchair and stretcher transportation and you're only doing ambulatory, you are a taxi service. You are an Uber service. You are on a shelf life. Go read the articles. You're going to be done and you won't even have an asset to sell. So transition now and invest in wheelchair and stretcher accessible vehicles and go after legitimate contracts and service agreements. Not only will you make more money, you will be securing a future for your NEMT business. Point number 2, if you are a legitimate business owner, let me reiterate that. If you are a legitimate business owner and you have not even considered or started the application process to start your own broker business, you are significantly missing the boat. As I've talked about in previous videos, I'm only sharing with you 2 sources of revenue of my broker business. I started my broker business in 2012. Figured it all out, did a lot of modifications and tweaking over those first 2 years. So yeah, I'm headed into my 6th year of business this year, but I still consider it really my 3rd or 4th year because this is when we really exploded and took off. Because those first 2 years, I was modifying and transitioning that business and tweaking it. But I've only shared 2 sources of revenue with you: the deliveries and the express moves. And I don't do these nickel and dime deliveries. I'm not doing this going delivering pizza stuff or the small, simple stuff. If you recall in my previous video, I talked about right in 2017, out of all of our delivery work orders, the average was $101.36. All right. And again, I'm only sharing with you in public the delivery and the express moves. Now, if you are a serious and legitimate business owner, you need to seriously move forward and start a broker business, because guess what? I don't see the automation. I don't see the podless delivery services that are going to get out. Yeah, you can have a podless car that's going to deliver a pizza to your house. You got Amazon investing in drones who are going to come and fly something over your house and parachute something in. That's cool. But guess what? When you are moving some furniture, you're moving some mattresses or any other items, I'll say right now, there's not going to be a podless car that's going to pick them up, bring them into your house and arrange your house the way you want. It's not going to happen. When it comes to the express moves that we are making a killing on, guess what? You're not going to have any podless cars, or you're not going to have Amazon dropping things out of the sky like that. It's not going to happen. Every source of revenue that I am making with my broker business is only going to continue to grow and enhance. We are not going to be phased out by technology. We are leveraging technology to further grow the business. Again, I'm in my 6th year, so I have 6 years worth of tax returns for my broker business. But again, I really only consider my 3rd or 4th year because those first few years were really my testing ground, was my testing phases. So, do I want you to continue in your NEMT, your paratransit business? Absolutely. But you better overhaul, you better take heed, and you better transition your business model so that as these changes come, and it's going to come fast, 3-5 years is like, man, it's a blink of an eye. It's going to go by fast. So you better be ahead of the curve. And then the second thing is, you better seriously take action to invest in a broker business. Again, only if you're serious, only if you're legitimate. We are not, I'm just going to be honest with you. Joel, you're mean. Joel, you're cruel. Call me what you want. We are not wasting our time with people trying to convince and train you. No. People who legitimately see that technology is changing, you need to diversify, you need to have a diversified portfolio, and you need to make a lot of money. And you absolutely see and recognize that our entire economy, although it's growing and changing and transitioning, especially for the small business owner, workforces are changing, and you need to adapt and leverage it, or you are going to be leveraged by it. So they call, there's a million and one names. They call it the gig economy, the shared economy, the contractor economy, and all these other names. Whatever, I don't care what you call it. But at the end of the day, if you want to make a lot of money, you got to do it as a broker, where you have independent contractors working for you. In my broker business, we are 100% independent contractors. I don't own a single vehicle. I don't pay for any insurance. I don't have any bureaucratic red tape. I don't pay for fuel. I don't pay for maintenance. There's no workers' comp. There's no matching FICA. There is none of that. That is the future of a large portion of the future of the changing workforce. If you want to have a thriving broker business model, last year we had pennies over 29% profit margin. So you want to have a broker business that's going to make 29% profit margin. I'm going to share with you everything. When you become a licensee, you're going to get a big box. It's going to have a bunch of DVDs in it, a bunch of information. It's going to have my marketing material. It's going to have my policies and procedures. I'm literally going to be sitting in your living room just like I am right now, talking to you one-on-one, explaining everything, walking you through my marketing materials, literally reading and explaining as I go along the policies and procedures, tell you how to recruit your contractors, where to find them, the kind you want to look for, the kind you don't, the things to say, the things not to say, where to get the customers, what kind of customers you want, which ones to avoid, which ones you want to definitely protect and pursue and take care of them, and on and on and on. So if you see you're a smart, established business owner, you have at least 2 years of tax returns, then I encourage you, get started now. As I mentioned in previous videos, only for those of you in the $1 Million Transportation community, this opportunity is going to end at the end of June. Now, every month that you wait, the price goes up more and more. But the opportunity is going to end come the end of June, because then my attorneys who are managing this entire operation, because they're the ones that are skilled, they work with a bunch of different franchise restaurants. If I said the names, you'd know them. They work with a ton of them, and they're the ones who have actually structured this legally. So that's part of my deal and part of arrangement with them, that my people, that you, the $1 Million Transportation community, go all the way till June 30th. Come July 1, then the price goes up, and they're going to start advertising this youarethebroker.com opportunity to their network, to their people. And then come October, that's when we're going to blast this thing online through Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, some of the other social media venues and stuff that their marketing specialists, their gurus are going to be managing that. So if you are a serious business owner and you see the opportunity, you understand what's happening, in our economy, in our workforce, with our industries themselves, and you want to be ahead of the curve and you want to make serious money, high profit money with low overhead expenses, then take advantage, click the link, make sure you take advantage and get started in building your broker business now. We are only going to have one licensee per zip code. Let me explain why we're having one licensee per zip code. There's only going to be one. You could operate your broker business anywhere you want. I operate in 5 states right now. I operate in 5 states. You could operate anywhere you want. The reason we are only having one licensee per zip code is not to limit where you build your business. It's to limit the number of users. The reason we're going to limit the number of users is to make this more exclusive, to protect our licensees. I want strong licensees who can start their business and within a year be making serious money. Again, you're going to skip all the trial and error nonsense I did the first 2.5 years tweaking to see what was working and what wasn't working, how I could increase the profit margin, avoid cannibalizing my own commission and profit margin to pay for people answering my phones and things like that. So again, if you're serious, move forward. If you're a newbie, and I love you, we're all newbies at some point in time. We all start with our first business. We all start with our first steps. We don't have time for that. If you're one of these people that want to send me hate emails and Joel, I don't care about poor people. I don't have time for poor mentality. I don't have time for the poor mentality. Back in the day, we were all like that, but guess what? We need serious people who can go. I call it 0 to 60. You got to go 0 to 60 in the first year. And once you become a licensee, guess what? You're gonna have people on the phone working with you to set up your merchant account. You're gonna have developers working with you to integrate your merchant account with your new software system. And you're also gonna have some of my regional directors who are contractors who are going to be able to work with you over the phone, work with you online through email to further advise you and tell you what works, what doesn't work. Here's what to look for, here's not what to look for, here's what to ask, here's what to say, here's what you avoid. Here's how you manage contractors. So you're literally going to be connected with my contractors. So if you don't have prior experience in working with contractors, rest easy. You're going to have them. Thanks so much for listening to my long-winded rant. And whatever you do, whether you think I'm mean-spirited, Joel, you're so mean, you're brutally honest and it hurts my feelings, and you don't care about poor people and you don't care about my business and you're making fun of my business model and you're insensitive. That's cool, man. That's cool. All I can tell you is this. Technology is here and you need to embrace it, or if you don't leverage technology, you're going to be leveraged by technology. So I look forward to working with you serious business owners who are looking forward to a new, exciting, and completely revolutionary opportunity ahead of you. I'll see you at the top.